Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolours. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one. Hello again YouTubers and welcome to my channel. How to Paint Waters with me, Colin. I've chosen this one today. It's going to be a winter scene with a nice stone bridge in it, hills and trees. Do feel free to leave a comment if you enjoy this video. All comments are welcome. I'll have a quick run round of the colours. We have Naples yellow, we have cobalt blue with alizarin crimson and burnt sienna in that one. We have cobalt blue and alizarin crimson, raw sienna, light red, French ultramarine and burnt sienna. And with that, I think we will get going. I want to just bring in a little light. I always like to use Naples yellow. It's an opaque colour, but it's very good for winter scenes. Not too much, just a little bit of lightness in. Some of the cobalt blue, check that for strength, a little bit strong. Add some water to that. When I'm bringing it to the top of the hills and going over them, not bothered. You can always strengthen this up as you go. Remember, your painting will dry between 20-25% lighter, so sometimes you have to adjust that. Some of the cobalt blue burnt sienna and alizarin crimson, just a little darker and a little greyer. There is a possibility I may glaze over it all at the end, but if you reach this point and you don't want to do it, you don't have to. Just adding a little movement into the sky with this. This paper is a £140 Bockingford watercolour paper. Back to my cobalt blue and alizarin crimson. Just put a little bit of shade and movement into the land at the same time as well we can. So add some raw sienna into this. Taking some of our greyer colour, cobalt blue, burnt sienna with alizarin crimson. Streaks of that. Take some light red as well, just add a little bit in. Darker in this corner. I have got some masking fluid along the edge of this bridge. I'm bringing the colour right up to that to make it darker, so when I take the masking fluid off it'll leave a snow line. And then I'm going to leave that to dry. Now that that's dry, we just come to these background hills and I've just re-wet them with some clean water. Add some a little bit together just to brighten it. I was just adding those two colours together, cobalt blue and sienna with alizarin crimson in. And I'm just allowing the paint to run through the water. Pulling it down where I think it needs it in the flow of land. And I'm stroking a little bit of raw sienna. Showing a bit of light coming through that there. Take my brush, break it open, and just lift out some paint. Then I'm going to let that dry. Now that's dry, on this one I add a little bit of clean water around where these trees are going to be. Along here as well. And taking some of your sky colour, which I've just thickened up, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, with some burnt sienna in it, and I'm just bringing it into a point, but taking the excess paint off. And just start above the water line, bring it into the water, just to suggest fir trees, with your board set at an angle. paint will start to run. Just encouraging it slightly. So you start above the water and bring the brush stroke into it. Perhaps just to warm that up a touch, we can drop some light red in places. Taking some of the other colour, the snow colour, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, and I'm just dropping that in, washing out the bottom, and then we're going to leave that to dry. Okay, that's nice and dry now. I've just re-wet the stone bridge, and into this I just want to drop some light red, just allowing it to spread. Take some of the cobalt blue, burnt sienna, and alizarin crimson, it's a dark grey, pushing it up underneath the masking fluid. Taking some of the raw sienna, quite strong this, and do want it to stand out a little stronger of the light red. Quite strong under that really, I think. And I'm just going to bring this down towards these rocks, just allowing it to all come together. And I think we'll put some rocks in here while we have a little time, while we're waiting for things to dry off a little. Just a little bit of the light red. Might have to come back in and make that a little stronger. Just adding some blues together with some burnt sienna now, just to darken it, just to make a nice dark grey. Yellow is just to show where the light could possibly be catching it, and the deeper colour is for the shadow side of it. A little darker, just by adding more blue to it. It's just so you've got three distinct shades, and then you can just gently pull this together to create your rock, both the dark, mid-tone and the light. I do want to strengthen up some of the foreground areas. Just to bring some movement into the ground. This is just some raw sienna with a touch of light red. Just while we deepen some of the snow shadows in the foreground. Cobalt blue, alizarin crimson. I'll put it next to these rocks here. Just add some snow shadow in. Little spots of light red. So again, some spots of light red. Just a little bit of raw sienna. Some of the light red. Then ultramarine and burnt sienna. A touch more on this one just to darken one or two areas. Just adding some fracture lines. With a rigger brush. Once again, I'm going to leave that to dry. Now that's dry, I've taken off the masking fluid off the bridge, and I'm just going to put some craggy lines in for where the stone is, and you can see it's left a lovely crisp top where snow is nestling. You can now start to add your stones on this bridge. And then I'm just darkening up under the snow where it's lying on top of the stone. I think you get the general idea. And I think we might put a tree in there, so I'm going to take some of the sky colour, maybe darken it with a little bit of burnt ultramarine, and I'm going to add some raw sienna to that, just to green that grey slightly. Then I'd like to add a couple of fir trees here, and this is just my mop brush again. I want to bring this into the sky so it attaches everything together. Just making a dark colour, a dark grey colour with that French ultramarine and burnt sienna. And I just want to pop that in. Just add some darker shadow tones into it. Add one over here. It just frames the bridge. I don't want to do too many. Once again, some of the darker colour. Then take a damp brush, which is a fully loaded wet brush, and just wipe the excess water off. Then you can add a little bit of shadow in just by pulling the bottom of the tree into the ground, and this will attach your tree into the painting. Take some of the snow colour, cobalt blue, the alizarin crimson, and I want to pull a little tiny waterfall in here, so I'm just using the side of the brush. Do you see that? And allowing it to break, pulling it over the top where that stone starts. Taking some of the darker mixture, French ultramarine with some burnt sienna added to it, just to deepen it with the alizarin crimson. Just add some darker spots in. I'll try and get the perspective right. I'll take some water and just re-wet the pool area where the water runs. And here, take some raw sienna, just drop this in, all horizontal strokes. Taking some of the bluey purple, which is the cobalt blue, and alizarin crimson, pulling that in. Some of the darker mixture, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, with some burnt sienna in it. Maybe add a tiny spot of blue under the bridge, just for where that hill is. Just indicating a shoreline. some light red, and I'm very gently just going to press this on to these bushes. I want to let that completely dry. Okay, I've unclipped it from the board because I've decided I want to have a go at glazing over this. You could stop here and sign it, which is perfectly good. I'm going to take some clean water because I want to emphasise the bridge, and just a few strokes without hopefully lifting any paint. Glaze over just the areas I want to deepen. Now I've re-wet it and I've pinned it down. This is a mixture of just magenta and clean water. And I want to bring this in. Not everywhere. And as usual, the paper's not behaving nicely. Try to do this with as few strokes as you possibly can. And then I'm going to unclip this and let it spread and let it dry. I hope you can see after glazing over it how it's softened all the background hills and softened the background misty trees. I've just put a couple of water movement lines in with a craft knife and a ruler. I'm just going to put the last one in so you can see. Don't put too many in. A little shadow underneath the bridge, and I just want to put one or two grasses and things. You always seem to get them poking out of the snow. If you do lose any definition that you want to keep by using the glaze, you can always restate it when the painting is completely dry. Don't go wild with this, you can overdo things. I always say if you feel yourself fiddling, it is time to stop, and I think a couple of birds in would be nice. Maybe one wheeling over. This is where you get to sign it, put a mat around it and frame it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please click the like button and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.